Hey, it's your boy Sergeant, hooked on heroes, hitting you with another brand spanking new review, this time for Kamen Geats episode 48. At the time of recording this, I completely lost track of time, and this is definitely the day that 49 is out, and I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to watch that, probably review it right after I do this review. Sorry life, busy, stuff like that, but I wanted to get this review out for sure. So, as we know from last week, Geats has been revealed to be a, basically physical body version of Sururu, or Sul. And he used him to basically do his dirty work for him, and then he always planned on taking him back over and, wreaking havoc, causing this bad end, right? And that's how we have Sul using the Kamen Rider Regard Omega, right? So the Omega version where the helmet opens up, right? So this whole episode is trying to deal with that. And it's Ace and Sumuri at first talking about things that this is really, coming to the end. They're really worried about what's going to happen, of course, and trying to figure out what they can do to stop Sul. At the very same time, we also get some time with the other characters doing, odds and ends type things. Specifically Keiwa, who has somehow retained his Tanuki Soba noodle job. I don't know how. His boss is really excited for him and proud of him that he is a Kamen Rider. And I keep forgetting that his sister Sarah's actually his older sister. But anyway, she keeps saying, great job, little brother, and blah, 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 and that she's proud of him too. And then he asks him, yeah, well, wait, why are you working here? And Keiwa has this kind of funny look on his face, and he says, doesn't it pay to be a Kamen Rider? And he thinks about it for a minute, damn, I've been doing this for this whole time, not get paid. So Sul, then we are introduced, there's two characters right next to them, some background characters that kind of are important in this. And they ask, oh, you're a Kamen Rider? And he goes, yeah, and they're kind of staring at him weirdly. So, as we know from the end of last episode, Dark Sumuri was giving the Desire Drivers to anybody. Now, unfortunately, you've been selected as a Kamen Rider, blah, blah, blah. So, she appears on the screens again to everybody and says that it's a new DGP that's starting up, and that this time people will fight any and all riders they see, anybody they see. They're fighting for happiness. They'll see a happiness rating when they see a person. If they defeat that person, they gain their happiness points. Whoever has the most points at the end keeps that happiness and gets their wish and blah, blah, blah. And they're really not doing this. They're just trying to fuck with shit, trying to ruin humanity because, Sul's pissed about how much, Ace has been able to accomplish. So the two people I mentioned, the two, teenagers that were talking to Keiwa, are you a rider? End up transforming. So Dark Samurai does the whole Ichigo, I can't really do it right here with all my stuff, but and forcibly transforms everybody. So all these civilians are fighting each other. Ace is trying to stop a few people from fighting each other. There's a scene that when he's in with 4 or 5 other civilians. One is a mom with her little kid, and then the kid's stop, mommy, what are you doing? And they're all literally trying to kill each other. So he transforms just into normal Magnum boost, and is trying to stop them and trying to figure out what's going on. And all of a sudden come through more game masters. So now the game masters are watching, and if anybody just gives up and doesn't fight, they snap their finger and boom goes their head. Kind of like back with Jirori, where he did that to Punk Jack with the glare, in the glare suit and everything. Similar thing. So basically, if anybody doesn't fight, they will either be A, killed by another rider, or B, have a snap of the fingers head explosion, then they're dead that way too. So these two teenagers, they go back to that, and these two teenagers transform, and they're fighting each other, and or they're about to. And they're we can't, because I guess it hints at that they have feelings for each other, so they hug each other, and they try and leave. And we see it happen. We see some of the game masters snap their fingers and create and take kill them, right? Really sad, really fucked up. We also get some scenes with Sul in the Regard Omega suit, along with Samus and Dark Sumuri, talking about, the power of the audience is, is enthralling to him and blah, 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 and he sends out the game masters, whatever. So we also get a scene of Punk Jack up on a roof trying to fight one of the game masters untransformed. I'm thinking because parts of his suit were used, the Punk Jack suit in monster form were used for other suits, kit bash wise. And so he's trying to fight hand to hand with some of the other game masters and stuff. And in comes Daichi and a bunch of Jamato, and they have little sunflowers out of their head. It's supposed to be a Pikmin reference. So Daichi says that he's, these Jamato are under his control, and they're going to be helping him stop the game masters from hurting people, snapping their fingers and hurting people, right? And we get this fun scene where Win is looking at one of them. He's like, oh, really? He's like, oh, these are kind of odd-looking help you got here. And he bonks one in the head, and it looks at him and goes, and does like the devil horns thing. And he's like, all right. And they go and fight together. It's fucking stupid. I just love this show. It's so silly. The Jamato are like my favorite thing in Toku. But anyway, so we get that, and then also we're trying to figure out a solution. It's becoming a problem that Neon and her dad talk about the supporters, right? That these viewers, these audience members are supporting, these VIPs are still supporting Sewell, and that if they could break that in some way, that connection, that they might depower him. And so they are setting out on a mission to figure some way to do that. And even her dad says, he goes, well, I have to. And she goes, why? And he goes, well, because I have happiness to protect now. So I like the little reference to like what he went through character arc wise there, and that he's not like comfortable where he's like, I absolutely love you on a Maze Hughes type beat, but he still shows that he cares about her and wants to do something for the greater good. Character development. I like it. So Ace ends up going to the house where him and Sumuri and Jirori were at as a family when he wished that, so he could get close to the staff and figure out what's going on. And she calls her sister again, and she goes, you don't have to say that, blah, 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 we're not really family. He goes, oh, but we are, because my one wish. He goes, I know. And she keeps calling him Ace-sama, and he goes, that's interesting, you won't drop the honorific, the sama, like, you know me pretty well, you don't have to. And they hear somebody else come in, and he goes, been a while since I've seen you. And we go forward, and he's in the same space as Sewell, and Sewell's like, how are you here, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I had some help. In comes in, Jirori was brought back as a game master, but still somehow retains his like sentience to not just blindly follow Sewell, and has decided that he is pissed at Sewell, that he says that basically what he says, what it amounts to, is that nothing about when he was the one producing the DGP, helping to his game master and everything, nothing of what he was doing with that was meant to be taking control of the audience and forcing them to do anything, and all this different, manipulation, awful backhanded techniques they're using right now to make it so the bad end happens and they screw over all their adversaries they have, Ace, anybody else. And he said, you guys are always talking all the time about creating the best Kamen Rider. We already did. Ace is standing right here, and he is fighting for the happiness of the entire planet. This is the epitome of a rider, and he's right. He's right. I'll get to this later in like my episode 49 review, and probably my like overall series review. Ace is literally the closest we're ever going to get to a modern day iteration of literally Takeshi Hongo in terms of a rider. Knowing that he has these powers that were bestowed upon him by a dark presence, by a dark source, if you will, and instead turning face and utilizing that to protect others so they don't have to suffer the same fate that he does and anyone else that has lost their lives in their battle. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So he transforms and he starts fighting Sewell. They transport around, and Sewell ends up using Magnum on the belt and Magnum Infinity, and it summons like 1 billion Magnum shooters to shoot at, to shoot at Ace. And we get a little flashback because at one point during their fight, because he's kind of kicking Ace's ass a little bit, which I like. I kind of am the more I see it and the more I get used to it, and they give more details of the idea of how Regard Omega and Regard work, it seems to be like a dark reflection of Ace. Ace, being a desire deity, works because of the wishes of the people, and if their happiness is strong, it makes him stronger, blah, blah, blah. Whereas you flip that, and it's forcing the people to support him and utilizing their power to become stronger. That's how Regard works. And so at one point he tries to fight Ace, and he stops in his tracks, and he can't move. He doesn't know what's going on. And they reveal, Neon does, she says, well, you can't do that. And he goes, what? And she's like, well, we've taken away your support. And he's like, how? My father and I, we approached your VIP supporters, all of them, as many as we could, and told them how you were using them and that you were probably going to kill them and that they weren't going to have safe passage back to the future and all of that they're basically being used. And so they end up, and they say that the Karama Foundation will keep them safe and will make sure that they can get back safely to their own time period. So he loses some power that way. Ace is able to get a lot more hits in, a couple strikes and final attacks, whatever. And this is preceded by a scene with Jirori right before Ace transformed into Geats 9 and started fighting Regard and Sewell, where he says that not all the supporters wish for this bad end. There are still ones that want to see a good end. And I like that. I wish we could have gotten some other characters there besides like Kyun and Jean that were good supporters. But I still like that. I like that the idea that not all the VIPs are psychopaths. So that was really cool. I thought that was a really unique twist on it to have Neon be a part of it along with their dad to screw up the support that Sewell was getting to make him stronger. Michinaga is in the episode here and there, in and out fighting off some of the riders. He's told by Keiwa, don't go too hard or hurt them. He's like, well, what do you mean? He's like, how, that's going to be really hard. I mean, they can't hurt me, but I can't hurt them either. What? And he's like getting pissed about it. Because, the whole like Muso, thing with him and, not being able to be defeated by a rider. And so, which it's not clear if that's fully in him yet or if that was just a last minute bear of a fight thing or what. So, like I said, going back to the fight with Sewell and Ace, they're doing their thing. They're having it out. Ace goes in for the final hit and gets stopped. Sewell taps the side of the belt. We hear reverse. And all of a sudden, we're brought back to that scene from the opening where we're in the rain and Samuri comes up with the Magnum shooter to his head. Sewell says, I've reversed time only around you. And I will eliminate you right now. You don't have the same power that you did before. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to eliminate you now. It's done. And he says, he's surprised that he sees Samuri going up to do it. She says, Ace, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy that it ends this way or something like that. And he says, you dropped the honorific, did you? Which gives me the idea this isn't Dark Samuri and this is part of their plan, perhaps, that he had with Jirori and Sumuri. There's a scene where they're all three talking and he's happy that Jirori's there and he, calls him, father and blah, blah, blah. And, that's where they hatch the scheme to kind of screw over Sewell. And she pulls the trigger, and that ends the episode. And then that's it. So we're kind of on a cliffhanger what's going to happen next. And I'm not going to spoil it yet until I watch episode 49 and do my review, of course, and then my overall series review. But this is a pretty good episode. I kind of really liked it. I do wish that Jirori would have come back into it a little sooner so we could get a bit more of his heroic side. We get it in the Geats Revice crossover a little, which is odd because of when that came out. It was way after he had already been eliminated as a villain. So to see him in like a heroic way was really weird. But I like this. I think it makes sense that he just was kind of pissy about Ace winning so much, but did have somewhat of a morally good side to him. He just let his own ambitions kind of overtake him and kind of blind him to what was the right thing, what was the good thing in general. But it's kind of a theme of the show, like what your ambitions and your true desires and your wishes will do to you. Are they ones that will drive you to like eliminate anybody in your path, or will they be ones that will bring everybody to a happy place where they can be equally happy? But this is a really good episode. I actually really enjoyed it. I like the idea of forcing the civilians into the fight. I thought that was really interesting. I thought that the whole fight with Ace and Regard was really good. I like, again, him continuously, my favorite thing about Ace, continuously flipping the script and doing this whole manipulation thing where you have no idea what's going to happen. So he's like, actually, and then he explains it. And I like that it was two-sided with Neon and her dad helping as well. That was really cool. But overall, I really enjoy it. I think it was a pretty great episode. I probably would give it probably a pretty strong 9 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but I still really enjoyed it. I still wish there was more that Michinaga did and had a part of with it. But besides that, I think it was a fantastic episode. What did you guys think of this episode, episode 48, the penultimate episode of Kamen Rider Geats? Did you guys love it? Did you hate it? Were you in the middle? Let me know in the comments below. I love to see the conversations going here and there when I get the comments about my videos and stuff and discussion starting. As far as content this week will be this review. I'm just going to about to watch episode 49 and then I'll review that as well. And then I'll probably try to put together my overall Kamen Rider Geats series review. I do plan on doing an update review for King Oger, but we'll get there when we get there. But that's going to be the content for this week, plus the 1-year anniversary of Henshins and Homies podcast this week, Friday, at the normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But as always, stay hooked on heroes. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.